came out on the deck here, and I heard a jet, which was way up in the sky. It was so far I just barely could see it, but I could hear a faint sound of the jet. And I glanced to the right, where I saw an object coming down on a downgrade. And it was all silver. It was a funny looking thing I never saw before. Then I heard another jet coming from, I guess it's over here, it's the east, coming this way. And this object went to the right, on the top of those trees. And that's when I called to my friend John, and I told John,
I said, John, look over there, right? He said, look over there. I looked above them two trees, and there was a silver dome was spinning on the bottom, and the top was just standing still. There was a jet fly over the top, and there was another one trying to intercept it, but both of them couldn't get it, so it came down and stood right there. And after they couldn't find it, they left, and he shot over the mountain and was gone.
The top was steel. It was a dome shape. The body was round. The bottom was flat. The base of it was spinning around. The bottom of it was just, the bottom section was just spinning around in the spin. No noise, no windows, or no nothing.
Spinning.
So I could have somebody.
It's spinning and just sitting still and just.
I was standing on the deck, but this thing, I don't know, it just got me so excited I didn't even think about the camera. I was just looking at it, and I could have got the camera right off there in a second, but it just happened so quick. You feel better, somebody else can see what you see.
And all of a sudden,
zoom. I couldn't believe my own eyes, and it was just different. They do something to you when you see something like that, especially with no noise and things flying and then it's turning. But no windows, no sound, no nothing. No wheels or no nothing. It was just there.
Last night I looked out here, outside the porch about 9:30, and I seen an orange light up in the sky. All the rest of the stars was clear, right? And I seen an orange light, and the orange light just stood still for so long. I didn't know what it was.
I didn't see it coming this way, saw it going behind the trees. Because when I first saw it coming this way, I couldn't even holler tell him until it get ready to turn. When it turned, I said, John, look between the trees, see that UFO? And he looked there, he saw it. And he hasn't been the same since.
All around.
He's still worried about this.
You never know that something could land in the yard or something could land in the field somewhere and nobody would know. You see? And then all of a sudden it just go.
On the way to Elkview from Charleston, me and two of my friends, we saw just kind of like a triangular shape without a bottom, big light in the middle, and then two lights going on either side. And it was really strange because they were just seemed to be hovering there, and
one was actually moving very slowly, and the other one was stationary, right at the same spot. And everybody in the car saw them. Everybody described them the same way. No one could tell what they were, and we eventually drove around another corner, and then we couldn't even see them anymore. So we were gone.
We were really, really wondering if we were just seeing things, or if it was just a plane or just some kind of military thing, and we were thinking of all the excuses possible, but really it was so strange. It was just this big white light, and one was right underneath the other one, and it was just hovering there.
As I came out on the deck here, I noticed off to the corner of the house a little flash. I thought maybe it was a lightning bug, so I was going to tell the baby to look over there. Then it shot down the lower end of the driveway too fast to be a lightning bug. And then we just started watching it from there, and it just started darting through the trees way too fast to be a lightning bug. And we were told, possible lightning bugs, but way too fast for them. And the brightness of the light was too light to be even a lightning bug, because it was a bright bluish light, where lightning bugs we know are yellow. And you can't confuse the two of them.
Out here, and while you're cooking out here, you see these strange lights. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. In the late evening.
In the late evening. Well, you gotta tell me.
Well, actually about dusk. About 9:30.
Okay.
And they start blinking down here on the ridge. And at first, we thought they were lightning bugs, but they were blue. time they went way too fast, shooting around the ridges. And then their favorite thing to do is come up the driveway. They like to come up the driveway.
Start right down in the lower half of the woods right here, and as it gets darker, then we start seeing them off the ridges, and we can see them just flashing through the trees, and then every now and then you'll just see one just right up out of the trees and just keep going right up into the sky. Off the far ridge here, then we've seen a couple off this ridge over here as well. Just shoot right up into the sky.
Well, it all started late June because it was cold in June, so we didn't really come out on the deck much. So we came out on the deck and it started getting dark and looked out and big blue blinking lights. But I'm like, what are they, ladybugs? And Philip was like, I mean, not ladybugs, lightning bugs? And Philip was like, no, Wendy, they're moving way too fast. So I came up with any kind of explanation I could think of scientifically. You know, like, oh, it's a lightning bug, it's just phosphorus in the air making them be blue, or there's a house up here that's made of glass, maybe it's somehow being hit by light and it's beaming funny lights everywhere, and trying to come up with any kind of explanation for what they were. But then, so I went to work, and unfortunately informed people of my blue lights. So it was, when do you need a straitjacket? When do you go to your Kmart blue light special? All kinds of good stuff like that. So finally I go to work, and a girl there goes, Wendy, did you ever go to planetcom.net? There's a guy making a movie about the lights in West Virginia. And I said, no way. I have to get a hold of this guy and bring him and have him come up and see these blue lights. Maybe he'll know what they are, or know someone that has seen them before, or something like that. But apparently they were completely different than the lights you've seen. See, they come so close to you, like they want to be around you. You know, Philip will sat on that bench with his nephew, and they were literally hovering under the bench. Me and his nephew's wife said nothing because we didn't want him to jump up or anything. But they literally just came up the side and just hovered under the bench with them. And, I mean, they come really close, right into the bushes. Real close.
What can you tell me about the lights that you saw?
It came up there close to me. They were like over the ridge and stuff. And they shoot across the mountains and stuff. They come up close by the ridge.
Were you afraid of them?
Mm.
The first time you saw them, were you afraid of them?
I thought they were aliens.
One time I was in a discussion group of some really tuned-in people, and anyway, one person in the group was pretty psychic, and had the information to go out on my farm. This was east of Timberville on April the 4th at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I have forgotten the year now, but it's been about 10 or 12 years ago. This is '02. And so we did it. There were 14 people went out on April 4th at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, we didn't see anything. And I remember saying, well, let's wait. It was daylight saving time, so let's wait till 5 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock exactly, we saw a cone-shaped thing go slowly across the sky, across New Market Gap. And it was green, and it was gold on the outside edge. And it didn't just zoom across the sky, it just went slowly across the sky. And of course we all just stood there with our mouths hanging open.
I guess it was around 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had this nightmare, terrible nightmare. And as I woke up, I actually just turned my head and I was looking out the window, and I saw this really bright light. So I take a walk over to the window, and I was thinking, well, this isn't a star because it's the brightest star I've ever seen, like the Star of Bethlehem or something. So I look, and I'm wiping my eyes, making sure I'm not seeing things. So what I did was the binoculars I have here, I start looking at the light, and I really, at that time, I knew it wasn't a star. So I woke my roommate up to come take a look, and what we saw at the time was the object was right above the ridge, very low above the ridge, and then there was a light coming down from the object into the woods, and then in the woods there was like a blinking light, real faint, but something blinking. So it stayed that way for probably about 10 or 15 minutes. Then the light disappeared, and then the object went higher into the sky, probably about, I would say, maybe 400 or 500 feet, then came back down to where it was originally. So we sat there and watched it. So with the naked eye, it looked like a big star, but with the binoculars, you could see that there was an image, like almost like a round, a circular image, where there was a large light in the center, and then there was like illuminated panels right around the edge, and it was really distinct. I mean, you could see it. It was very good with the binoculars. So we just watched it, and it just hovered for well over an hour till daylight, and then disappeared. And then what we did every night, it was for the next 4 or 5 nights, I would watch it, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, nothing. 5 o'clock, this image appears. The very same thing without the beam of light coming down, but it starts out above the ridge and hovers, then goes about at 500 to 1,000 foot in the sky, stays there, then it's gone. So I called neighbors that live across the ridge, and the first night they actually saw the light. They didn't have binoculars, but they were looking with the naked eye. So they saw the light, but that was about it. The second night, I called friends that lived on top of the ridge at 4:30 in the morning. And, they went out and looked, and they couldn't see anything but this, what they appeared to be a big light, a star. But it was weird because, I don't know if it was the angle that I had from here, that, that we could see it and someone else couldn't. But, then I guess it was about 5 or 6 days later, nothing. And I even as of last night, I was up watching and I didn't see anything. So it was actually about 5 days consecutive that we saw this image. If it was just me, I probably would think I'm crazy. But Tim, my roommate, saw it, and he's usually very skeptical about those things, and he really was very excited about it.
Well, we were just all sitting here, and it was a tremendously bright light on White Horse Mountain, and I just thought it was people spotlighting deer with a ridiculously bright light. I didn't know what kind of light they had. I never seen a light so bright. But we weren't thinking UFO at all. I thought, look at this bunch of goofs. I don't hunt anyway, but I was thinking they're actually spotlighting. And then it flew up into the air, and not like that, just normal speed, and it flew right over top our house. It was a weird night because it was the northern lights. Sometimes when that happens, the sky gets red right in the middle, and it was that day, and we had been looking at the sky up there, but then we noticed this light, and it flew right off. And I know no plane can land over. I've been on top of that mountain, and if it had been a chopper, I'd have heard something, but it made no noise at all. It certainly wasn't anybody spotlighting. But I've seen that, and my whole family did, but mostly we see these orange lights that are, they got it sodium colored, and they almost got a floating thing. It don't look like no straight trajectory. They look like, I don't know, it just looks weird. We've seen so many of them, we stopped looking, And all these people down in the valley see them. I'm not the only one who's seen it.
When did this all happen?
Okay, well, this was, I guess it was about 97. It was when I just finished building the house. And I was out here one evening, and out in that little saddle over there, looking over Short Mountain, I saw some lights come up, and at first I thought it was an airplane or something, because I wasn't real familiar with the flight patterns in this area or anything. So, I sat here and watched it, and they seemed to just stop there, and then they moved to the left a little bit, and then they moved to the right a little bit. And, at that point I thought it was kind of odd. I still didn't really know what was going on with it. And then it just, real quick, cut down the mountain, and it was gone. I think it would be silly of us to think that there's not something else that we don't know about. I think that there's plenty out there that we don't have a clue, what the possibilities could even be. So if I saw something that was, a UFO, who knows, but it was something I certainly didn't understand. And I haven't seen it again. You know, I see planes and stuff like that at night. I watch them fly over. I've never seen anything like that. So, you know, maybe there's something more than we know about. You know, that's about as far as I can go with that. You know.
We was coming back through here. It was probably between 12 and 1 o'clock after work, and I had a partner with me. He was there asleep, and I was awake. I was doing the driving, and I was alert. And I was looking for deer here along the road. It's a bad place. And when we got right out here, about where them lights are flashing, well, I noticed my car lit up. The hood of my car lit up, and it was just about that time I looked out the window up in the sky, and here went this real bright object right across here, right across that mountain right there. Right there. And it looked to me like it was pretty big. I really can't describe the color, but when the car lit up, it wasn't a white light or anything like that. It was just sort of a glow. About a week or two later, I was down at my dad's on a weekend, on a Sunday maybe, and he asked me, he said, "Did you see that big bright light the other week?" And I said, "Yeah, I've seen it." So then I knew I had a witness. That told me that, you know, when he seen it, it was just something that he'd never seen before. And the way it moved, he said it was going a lot more or less parallel to him. And then all at once it made a right angle move, more or less, just real quick. To what it was, I have no clue, but I don't think it was a man-made object, because it had to be as bright in front of it as it was in the back, because when it lit my car up, and it was just a split second later when I seen it through the windshield. So it had to have been either, you know, like a ball or a sphere or something. I have no idea. I've never seen anything like it since.
It was faster than any plane that I'd ever seen. Like I say, it was just a few seconds, and it was from one mountain to the other. So all we could see was just that far, you know, coming out of it, like a circle coming out of it. And it wasn't no sound. Never heard noise at all. It was just the lights always seen, you know.
More or less kept it to myself, because I knew to tell anybody, they wouldn't have the slightest clue, because or think I was crazy, something like that.
We were coming down Quarter H from Moorfield. It was probably 11 o'clock Saturday night, probably the second week of August 04, or March 04. She was driving, I was just gawking at the sky, you know.
And it was like a reddish orange light, and it turned white, and it kept moving across the sky the whole time we were driving. So we pulled alongside the road and just sat there and looked at it. We couldn't figure out what it was, because helicopters don't move like that. They don't zigzag across the sky.
I think it was a reddish white light, and it would appear to just be there, and then it would go from one point to the next without you seeing it move. And then the next time I'm looking, it's over on my right side, and it's still there, and then it's over here, and then it's up here, and then it's over here, and it was just, we pulled over, but I said, this can't be, I mean, what the hell is this? This is bullshit, you know, this light. So we pulled over, but sure enough, it was just going wherever the hell it wanted to go. And we followed it the whole way down Quarter H. It wasn't a helicopter, it wasn't a plane, it wasn't, could have been a government project, who knows, I mean, yeah.
This happened in July of 2 years ago. I was sitting out here after everybody went to bed, looking at the stars, quite a few stars out. I looked over past this pine tree here, quite a ways over, and I saw this large cylinder type thing with bright lights, and it moved slowly, and it finally came around, and you could see it really closely, you know, in that area there. And it just hovered there for the longest time. But it moved slowly while getting there. And I watched it for the longest time, and then I decided to go to bed. It was in a distance. It's about where that blue area is in the sky, about that area, and then it moved slowly closer, but it didn't get that close, you know, but it was still, you could see it was a pretty large object. It was very large, you know, with bright lights, you know, going down.
I decided that I had enough stories to finish this film. After all, how many more are necessary to show that something strange indeed is happening out here? What exactly, I'm not sure. Military? Probably some of it, but certainly not all of it. So what are we to make of it?
After I saw that, I thought, well, you know, maybe it's something to what people are saying, you know. I mean, they're seeing these objects.
Oh, I almost forgot to tell you what I saw. Remember Wendy, Philip, and Shana? The ones who told us about the strange bluish lights that would make their way through the woods and up to their home? Well, I saw that also. And we all saw something else that night. A large, glowing round object like a full moon appeared above the mountain ridge, and then it dropped out of sight below the ridge, and reappeared a few moments later. We all watched it as it started to go straight up into the sky, seemingly changing color from white to orange before it disappeared. Military? Who knows? But it certainly made us wonder.